Welcome to Covered in Pet Hair, a boozy show for pet lovers on Pet Life Radio. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a lady that is passionate about pets and their people. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I have the pleasure of having a drink and a chat with a pet parent, a published author. She's an entrepreneur, an adventure seeker, a road tripper, and a wine snob. She's a world traveler, a fitness fanatic. She co-hosts the podcast Pets Are Family with a friend of mine, Jessica Abernathy, who used to volunteer with me on the NAP's board of directors. She is originally from Chicago, currently goes between Georgia and Florida. She is founder of Moose's March, a testament to her soul dog, Moose's brave spirit. It's a way in which she ensures that Moose's memory lives on to help other pets and their families, especially those who cannot afford care, specifically when facing cancer diagnoses. Her name is Tricia Montgomery. Welcome, Tricia. It's so good to have you on the show.
It is an honor to be here. I love you, and I am so excited to be here. And yes, and to give a legacy to Moose and to be part of your lovely podcast. I love it. Love it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I am honored to help spread the word about Moose's March. Mm-hmm. It sounds like Moose was a very special dog.
He was. He was my heart walking outside my body, as I say. He was a hot mess, just like his mom.
All the best ones are. All the best dogs are a hot mess.
Yeah, he was my heart dog. You have that one dog that is your soulmate, and Moose is mine. And I've had plenty of dogs. I had Louie, who I lost weight with. Before there was a Moose, there was a Zeus who passed away of Cushing's, but Moose touched my heart in a way I don't think any other dog did. And I don't know, I was CEO for Paws Humane Society, and I had, it was my birthday, right smack dab when the pandemic started, March 29th of 2020. And we had rescued him from Columbus Animal Care and Control, because at Paws Humane Society and Animal Welfare, they pull animals from animal control agencies. And it was a Saturday, it was my birthday, and I'm like, this birthday sucks. It is the worst birthday ever in the whole world. I didn't have any furniture. My furniture was in Chicago. It was awful. And no friends, no nothing. And so I saw Moose in the background there, and I asked if I could foster him, and they made me go through a whole interview process. Even though I was CEO, I still had to go through that same process. And I got to take him home with me to foster him for an overnight visit. And we got a steak, and we kind of snuggled on the couch, and he shared my food, and we just had the best weekend. He was heartworm positive, so we didn't do a lot of exercise. But he was just, I woke up in the morning, and his like pit bull face, that jowl, like, looking at me like, and he never left my side. Went to work on Monday morning, and I brought him back, and I said, I can't do this, because I wasn't ready for a dog after Zeus had passed away. I kept walking back and forth there. And the Bissell Pet Foundation event was going on. And at the time, Moose's name was Boss. And so everyone was like, oh, a bus for a boss. And so Paws actually, they wanted me to get a dog. So I'm like, I got to have him. And so I adopted him. And he never left my side. Never left my side. At that time, we were deemed essential workers. Mm-hmm. And I worked from 6:30 in the morning until like 7 p.m. at nighttime. And he would go with me everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And when I say he never left my side. He was with me at work, at home, anywhere I went, Moose went. and he legs were cattywampus. I mean, I would cook for him. I mean, he'd have salmon and Brussels sprouts. This dog, and we would pull up to Starbucks, and he would, the staff knew him, everybody knew him, and then at pause, because he was kind of the dog who people knew, and we would do pet food pantries, and I would walk outside with him, and he would be there, and the community knew him, and everybody knew him, and it was just, he was amazing, just an amazing dog, and he liked The Bachelor. His favorite candidates, it's called anthropomorphism at its finest, because and the people that would dog sit, if I had to be away, I had to be away for an event in Talladega. We were working with a race car driver, Zachary Tinkle, and my Kennedy Stone, she's like, Moose is not, he's kind of lethargic, he probably misses you. And I came home and I wrapped, around him, and I'm like, oh no. And he had 4 nodes. And he had 2 on his legs and 1 on the back. And I knew, I've been in the veterinary profession. I knew what it was, and my heart just sank. And it was a Saturday night, and I began calling anybody and everybody that I could possibly call. Auburn University, I called Dr. Crystal White, Dr. Keyes, Dr. Brown at Rivertown Emergency Center, and anybody. We got him in, and it was stage 4 lymphoma. And he was really gone within 2.5 weeks. And I will tell you this for your audience. I have never in my life experienced a grief that I experienced with Moose. My father had passed away. My mom had passed away. I had changed jobs. There was just a lot of stuff going on. When Moose passed away, I didn't know what to do. I went between crying and sad and upset and more tears, and just couldn't, it was a lot. And I had beautiful people around me. And I remember people calling me, and I wouldn't answer the phone. Right. I wouldn't answer their text. And luckily, my sister, and there were 2 other girls, Courtney and Caroline, who, I don't know how I made it through. I really don't, because I was that much in grief. And I found, through help, I found my way back. And I got there. I went to the Pastoral Institute in Columbus, Georgia. I talked to them. And then I found the Association of Pet Loss and Bereavement. And I found my way back, but I still don't have a dog, because I just can't, my heart is not ready. I see him, especially in everything that I do right now. Of course. And it's just hard. And I think that to understand that, and know that, and deal with grief, but out of that came beauty. And I created a program in his honor. At first it was a program, and then we created our own 501c3. And now the beauty of people around us, the amount of outpouring from just everywhere that want to know more, that are reaching out to know more, to help more, just getting the word out about what we're doing. We are committed to early detection of pet cancer. That's what we are committed to doing.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you were able to share that with us, because I think so many people have experienced what you've experienced. Yeah. And they feel so isolated and alone, like nobody understands it. So thank you for sharing that, because I know it's so difficult to relive those moments and to get back in touch with that grief. But you're doing a world of you're making a world of difference for these people who don't have anybody in their immediate life and in their circle that gets it. And they know, after hearing what you've just said, that you and other people out there do get it. So I want to dig into how you went from catastrophic loss to founding Moose's March. But before we do that, let me introduce our drinking game. So anybody participating in our drinking game today, anytime you hear this word, take a drink of whatever you're enjoying. Be over 21 to partake, never drink and drive, and always drink responsibly. And when we get heavy in here, we just want to take a deep breath and say cheers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my guest. And what is it that you're drinking today?
Sparkling rosé.
I love a sparkling rosé. That is an excellent choice for an afternoon with me. And one day we'll do this in person, I hope.
I would love that. Absolutely love that. I love you, but go ahead.
All right. Well, I always introduce this show with a game. And today, obviously, we're going to talk about some heavy stuff, which we do all the time. But we're going to do so in a way that we learn and we become better parents, pet parents in the process. So my first game today is called Cancer Care Costs. And I want you to help me kind of put some perspective on a cancer diagnosis. Heaven forbid someone were to face one. So if you're ready to play, I've got some questions for you.
I am ready to play. Bring them on.
All right. So you talked about stage 4 lymphoma. Is that correct?
Correct.
So in cats, lymphoma generally attacks the kidneys or intestinal tract. What part of Moose's body was affected?
Moose was affected in his nose, in his neck, in his stomach, in his back legs. So it had spread very rapidly, it metastasized really, I would say, overnight.
Oh my goodness, that is awful. Yeah. And that is so traumatic because you have no time to prepare.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. The next question I have for you is osteosarcoma is bone cancer, and it affects dogs, especially larger breeds that take longer to grow mature and strong bones. Are you seeing a lot of osteosarcoma in your community?
So I'm not a veterinarian, but I know osteosarcoma is one of the common diagnoses within larger breed dogs, and that could be your Irish wolfhounds. That could be, obviously retrievers, Labrador retrievers, golden retrievers. They have the highest cancer rate. Boxers, but those larger breeds tend to have those diagnoses of cancer, right?
Yes, I, as a professional pet sitter, saw it a lot, unfortunately, and it was one of those cancers that I was terrified of, because the only option was like amputation, and not all dogs are, candidates for amputation. So it was one of those diagnoses, just like lymphoma stage 4, that are terrifying. So in order to diagnose cancer, certain diagnostics are recommended. Radiographs, x-rays, blood tests, ultrasounds, cytology, biopsy, CT scans, MRIs, PET scans. What was the concluding diagnoses? What concluded the diagnoses for Moose? What was it?
Sure. We did a series of blood tests for him. We did the MR, we did all the scans and everything for him. And really, I don't even think we needed to do that. Simply by looking at him, they were able to understand what was going on with him. So the costs that I spent, I didn't really need to do that, but having verified and to re-verify and making sure that you understood what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Surgery is often the first treatment recommended when the cancer is localized to one part of the body, with the goal being to eliminate the cancer cells. Was surgery an option, obviously, in lymphoma?
No, not at all. Not at all. And in fact, I'm so grateful to the veterinarians that I spoke with, because they were very honest. And I know how difficult that was for them, to say that there really isn't anything that you can do, because first of all, you have to look and evaluate an animal and where they are. Moose was heartworm positive, Moose had a lot of strikes against him, not only cancer, but other things going on within his body, as well as having that breed of the pit bull breed and having that kind of the bully breed that is predisposed to cancer too.
Oh, understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Chemotherapy can range from $150 to $600 a single dose, to a treatment reaching as much as $3,000 to $10,000 according to Care Credit. Is that about the cost you're seeing too?
I definitely am seeing that. That is the cost. And that's where you really need to work with your veterinarian. You need to understand what are the options. You have to look at things in terms of quality of life, how much, what are a caregiver, what can you do? And what are the options? How old is your dog? What's the prognosis? And we want to do anything to save them and help them and working with them. One thing that I find interesting, and I just want to point this out, there are 6 million dogs diagnosed with pet cancer every year. 6 million. Guess, I'm going to give a game to you. How many veterinary oncologists are there in the U.S.?
Not
Just
many.
450.
450. Oh, okay. Well, that's more than there are. There are like veterinary behaviorists. There are like 100.
Right.
So I just assumed that it was not a lot.
Yeah, right. There's only 4. But think about that. You have 6 million dogs getting diagnosed every year and 450 veterinary oncologists. Early detection.
Early detection. Exactly. Another option, and this is my last question for the game, is radiation therapy. And radiation, when doing radiation or undergoing radiation, pets typically receive 15 to 20 treatments over a period of 6 weeks, with the cost ranging from $2,500 to $7,000. Is that about right?
That is about right. And I will say that some pet insurance companies now are actually charging more to cover their and to get a pre-cancer kind of policy. Especially if you have a breed that is predisposed to cancer. Yes. Spot on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for playing that game. Shout out to Healthy Paws Pet Insurance, where I got all this information. I think it's so important for people to hear a firsthand experience from a pet parent. We're not veterinarians here, but you have invaluable experience to share. And I want to know, so now we know that you lost your best friend. How long after did you start working on Moose's March and making this huge difference?
Sure. I lost Moose May of 2022, and it took me quite some time. And I think it was probably I'm going to say I started working on it September of last year, and then really to have it fully evolved to now. So about almost a year ago is when I started it, or a little bit over a year ago.
And you were fueled by that grief and that sadness, really, to help. What was the goal to help others in the position where you found yourself at that time?
I think my goal was to honor Moose. And I always thought that he was always like this loopy, crazy dog, and the kind of always the down smile on his face. I never had a bad day with Moose. There was never a bad day and nor am I going to have bad days because of him. And I thought I wanted to do something in his honor, that when I said his name, it wasn't one of just like sadness. It was one of like hope. And that because of you and your love and what the love that love that I experienced, that I am giving back and that we are giving back together.
That is wonderful. That really is. It says so much about you. So many of us experience grief and don't know what to do with it. And you channeled it to something so positive. So how does Moose's March help families facing similar diagnoses to what you and Moose experienced?
Absolutely. What we do is we provide early detection kits to veterinary clinics and shelters in underserved communities with our partner Volition Veterinary. So there are early detection tests. And so imagine if Moose had been diagnosed early, if other animals were diagnosed early, there's something that we can do. We can provide hope and we can provide quality of life, and perhaps even going into remission or a cure for that cancer. So if I can give one animal, I've done my job. I mean, I look at it like that.
Yes.
If I can help one family, but obviously I'm here to change the world. I'm here to make a difference in pet cancers. There are so many other beautiful organizations like Morris Animal Foundation that focuses on research, Live Like Rue that focuses on financial support for pet parents. I'm focusing, we are focusing on the early detection of pet cancer. That's what we're here to do. And again, that quality of life and hope. Next year, we're going to be offering grants to shelters, and that's going to be going out. And so they can use those funds to help pets and people in need with cancer diagnoses. We're going to be doing walks. We're looking to be pairing with some major organizations in 2024, working with some human organizations.
Wonderful.
Yeah, but really spreading, because cancer is not exclusive. Cancer is very common. Cancer wants in. We want him out. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. Well, I want to take a break right here. We're going to listen to our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to dig in a little deeper into these early detection kits, what they do, what they're looking for. I'm going to be sipping on my espresso martini. You enjoy that bubbly rosé, and we will be right back after these messages from our sponsors. Welcome back to Covered in Pet Hair. I'm your host, Isabel Alvarez-Arata, and today I'm having a lovely conversation with Tricia Montgomery, who lost a dog, her soul dog, the dog, to cancer, and has taken that grief and that pain and made something that honors her dog Moose's memory and also helps dogs and their families moving forward. Taking that darkness and making it light is always a story I want to share. So Tricia, I want to play a game with you and pick your brain about these early detection kits you talked about, early detection in general. And this game is called The Sooner the Better. So if you're game, I'm going to give you 1 minute on my handy dandy clock. And I'm going to ask you to just give me some signs, early signs that require a veterinary visit. We are not veterinarians, but you obviously work alongside them. What is it that we should see and see as a red flag? Are you ready to play?
I'm ready to play. Let's do it.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Lumps, bumps, things that you haven't noticed before. If these are prominent, get in to see the veterinarian. Lethargy. If your dog is normally spry, running around, got the zoomies, all of a sudden he's suddenly lethargic, get him in to see the veterinarian. If he has a loss of appetite, get him in to see the veterinarian. If he is displaying signs of any weakness, get him in to see the veterinarian. If there are signs of bloat, if there are signs of a bloody stool, if there are signs of vomiting or even the gums, that bluish, that kind of whitish blue, get them in to see the veterinarian. Anything that you feel may be out of their norm, get them in to see the veterinarian. That's the most important thing. Loss of appetite, anything. It was a 1 minute.
You did it. That was last. You did it at 55 seconds. Fantastic. Good job. I put you on the spot there, didn't I? Well, okay. So I have questions.
Sure.
The early detection kits, what do they do? What do they do? What do they look for?
Sure. No, these are provided by Volition Veterinary. They're called NUQ, N-U-Q. They are for canines only. Currently, they will be coming out, I believe, with a white paper next year for felines, and then working on that, the studies. It is a test. You can request it is through your veterinarian, and it is a simple blood test that finds the markers for early detection. And so they're measuring biomarkers. They're measuring different. I'm not a veterinarian, and I'm not going to get into the list of things, but it is Nu-Q test, and so they're measuring, and then they have I believe it's a 97% accuracy rate.
Wow.
Lymphoma and hemangiosarcoma and the other cancers as well. So again, finding those early. And again, recommending that senior dogs over the age of, because remember, they have a 50% higher rate of cancer. So I'd say dogs that, if you have a dog predisposed to cancer, a golden retriever, a boxer, we talked about those, the Irish wolfhound, all those breeds that are predisposed to cancer, get them checked out at the age of 4 years old.
Wow.
Start early. And then especially if you have a dog over the age of, I want to say 7, they say 10, I want to say 7 years old, get them checked out. Get them checked out. It's a simple blood test. I think they run maybe $120, which is a very small price to pay for peace of mind with you, as a pet parent.
Absolutely. I think that is such good money well spent, right? That's such a great way. And I know most people, when it comes to our own health, we prefer not to know. But when it comes to pets, I think the earlier we know, the better. Remembering that they have fewer therapies for pets, they have fewer things they can do. It's usually more costly for pets. So it's just in everybody's best interest, as well as yours and your family's, to find cancer early. And that's one of the things that really affected everybody in the pandemic, that people were not going to the vet, people were not going to the doctor. And then all of the cancers that could have been caught early were not. So they became a much bigger deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. During the pandemic, you couldn't get in to see the veterinarian. There was a rise in births of it because you couldn't spay, neuter, all these different things were going on. Right.
Absolutely. So how costly is a cancer treatment now that we know that it's $120-ish for this this not preventative, but this kind of test that arms us with information? What are we facing once we find out that there is a cancer diagnosis?
So I think that's where you would work with your own veterinarian to find out what are the options. If there is an early marker, is there something that you can do? Do you need to go down the road? If you have a marker for that, do you need to go see if there's chemotherapy? Is there radiation? Because now that you've caught that early, you're able to make smart, not educational and informed decisions with your veterinarian. And if you need to go see a veterinary oncologist, if you need to see Auburn University, Mizzou, or whoever it is, any teaching hospital, absolutely.
Yes, and it's also hard to get into these kinds of specialists.
It is.
So the sooner you know, the better.
Better. Correct. Yeah. There's so many, there's a waiting list. And even me, I remember having, and I couldn't, it's like, but I'm Tricia Montgomery.
I agree. I understand that it's, you'll do anything at that point. So what tips do you have for any family that actually has received some kind of marker in this, early detection test or some kind of diagnosis, straight up diagnosis? What first steps should they take?
I think, first of all, they need to talk about it as a family. They need to understand, the diagnosis. They need to talk to their veterinarian. They need to do their own research. They need to figure out, what are the steps that they want to take, and what do they need to do to have that quality time with their pet. Talk to the experts. I think that it's really a family decision. I think also, I mentioned the Association of Pet Loss and Bereavement. I think that if you have, I think it's called, I forget the exact word for it. It's whenever a diagnosis is coming, that to prepare if something's coming. If you have a child, to have that knowledge, to understand, what might be coming down. And I think just enjoy that life, enjoy that time together, and make it quality. I think what I want to talk about is that cancer is not this big C word. There is hope, and there are things that we can do if we catch it early.
Mm-hmm.
If we catch it early, but that's the whole thing, is catching it early.
Absolutely. So how did you spend your last days with Moose? Did you do anything memorable? Did you get to do anything memorable?
We actually took a road trip to Florida, and we went to the beach. We hung out, and then because Moose had been so part of everyone's lives at Paws Humane Society, everybody wanted to come and say goodbye to him. And so, like all the veterinary technicians who took care of him, all of the kennel staff, Sheikah and Kennedy, and all of his people who came to love him, the neighbors. I had people who had met him at Paws who wanted to come say goodbye. So my house was like a constant revolving door the last week, and he was tired. He was just really tired. And so I remember Kennedy brought all of her girlfriends over because they wanted to say goodbye, and he walked away from them and just came over to me, and it just sat there. We actually taped a book. We did a video book called Dog Breath, that horrible story of halitosis, the dog breath book. We did that for a children's series. And so Moose and I did the story together. And so that was his legacy for kids, that it showed the story of halitosis, the horrible dog breath.
Oh, that's so great. I love that so much.
I've got beautiful memories of him. Beautiful memories.
You really do. And it's so wonderful that you're taking that love that you shared and doing so much wonderful work. How can my audience learn more about Moose's March and everything that you're involved with the Pets Are Family podcast, everything?
They can go to moosesmarch.com, or they can go to petsaurefamily.net. Moose's March is our charity at petsaurefamily.net. You can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And so, I'd encourage, I hope this message leaves people knowing that for the diagnosis of cancer, again, that there is hope and there is quality of life. Early detection is the key. And I just want to thank you for having me on, allowing me this platform to educate and to talk about Moose in his honor.
Oh, I'm so excited and happy and grateful that you came to talk to me and share this story. I was on your show as a guest.
You were?
Yes. Yeah, I was, right? I was.
Yeah, you were.
I was. And I had so much fun catching up with you and Jessica. I'm so happy that we got to do this. I want to propose a toast to you for your dedication, that fire in you, and that just joy that you share, even in the darkest, theme that we've been talking about. So much joy comes from you. So cheers. Thank you for that.
Cheers to
for
you.
Sharing it with me.
Thank you.
I also want to propose a toast to my executive producer, Mark Winter. Thank you, Mark. And to our audience for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.
For these awesome conversations. I just want to share the love and the education to help everybody be a better pet parent and face these inevitable things that come with pet parenting with a little more joy and a little more love and a little more peace. So thank you all for listening. Here's to a life covered in pet hair, because there's no better way to live. Cheers.
Cheers.
To learn more about Covered in Pet Hair, please visit coveredinpethair.com or petliferadio.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.